here first, and then we'll talk about that. All right, so McDowell is now active, so that's our Army of the Potomac, or as it's called here, Northeastern Virginia Army. Is that what it's called up here? Why are you not? Yeah, Northeastern Virginia Army. It's kind of silly. He's active. We got a couple of messages here we'll read. Because of a huge stock of steel. Canceled a few contracts, which I don't know if that means I got some money from this. Because once you get to I think over 500, then it converts it into cash. Some of it into cash for the Union. Yeah, so I think you get 50 for that. 50 cash. All right. We offered a... so our opponent offered a small enlistment premium, so he probably went with the smallest. We went with the largest. So we went with that, and then we offered $2 to the max, because I wanted to get as many conscripts as I can, since cash flow, isn't as big of a problem as it is conscripts. Also put money into the rail pool and the river pool this turn. We're building telegraph lines, which I'll show you where that's at in a moment. Ohio, West Virginia is being plundered at the moment. Where's that at? Oh, it's just over here. Okay. Transport ships brought in 3,200 supply and 4,400. Oh, their maximum capacity is 4,400 points. And they brought in about 40 bucks in cash. There are 3 raiders in the area. See if there's anything else of note here. We retook that fort out in the west, which I'll go over as we go through the scheme of maneuver phase of this video. Alright, built a flatboat in California, which we're going to convert into a depot, by the way. McClellan is in Pennsylvania, and he's going to start training up our militia and conscripts. Alright, so that's about it. Let's go through here. Tennessee elections. The Tennessee Secession Ordinance called for the election of congressmen to be held on the same day as the previously scheduled USA congressional election. On the first Thursday of August, the voters went to the polls to choose congressmen for either Richmond or Washington. In the 4 eastern districts, the victors took their seats in the U.S. Congress. In the rest of the state, the 7 victors took their seats in the CSA Congress. Surprisingly, the losers acknowledged defeat and declined to take the vacant seats in Richmond or Washington. Interesting. Alright, after 90 days, the first volunteer units were mustered out of service and reorganized. President Lincoln increased recruitment and called for 3-year volunteers. Alright, so in real life, July is when the Battle of the First Bull Run happened, and then when it was clear that the CSA was not going to be defeated following that battle, it became clear that it's going to be a more protracted war, and that's why Lincoln went from the 90-day to the 3-year volunteer request. So what we're doing here, just to make it simple since there's a lot of stuff going on, is I built these forts here, right, these redoubts, so that if he wants to come up through Harper's Ferry around my left flank, I'll have these to slow him down, hopefully in enough time to muster my forces to consolidate them in DC and Maryland, right? So that's why I built these here, behind the river as well. I'll put a division inside these forts with a supply wagon, because then he'll have to actually take the fort before he can move forward. And then I also have a force in Harper's Ferry, a force here in Montgomery, Maryland, just to stop him from kind of jumping across the river and being able to hit DC that way. And then obviously I have our primary army here under McDowell in Alexandria, and then I have a small force in DC. Up here in York, Pennsylvania, at least for the short period of time here, McClellan's going to be up here, and he's going to be training up troops. The reason I have him back here is I like to bring the forces that I'm going to train up in the rear, train them up, and then move them forward to the front. And the reason I have him up in York, Pennsylvania, is that we don't have full loyalty here yet. We only have 75. So bringing all these forces in and out of there should also increase the loyalty over time. And then once the loyalty is high enough in Baltimore here, where he can't actually see the province, because I think if you have more than 50% loyalty, you can actually see what happens in that region. So once we get above 50% loyalty here, then I'll probably move McClellan here with, again, the same purpose, to kind of rapidly build up the loyalty in this region, because this is a money-making area. It's a, size 12 city. It's got a lot of money-making materials, so we want to try and get this above 50% and then higher loyalty. I also put Butler here because, again, he's got this hated occupant thing. So if you look at that, what that does is it applies martial law, and so it increases the loyalty in that region much faster, right? Having somebody like that there. And then if we do that, let's see, Baltimore, I think. Interesting. What is... I'm trying to see what it makes us for in terms of money. It's Baltimore, Maryland. So it makes us 4 cash, but that can go up if our loyalty goes up. So it'll be like a medium money-making area. But then obviously we have the size 10 naval port here too, right? So, and it's a size 12 city. So it's really good for conscripts. But the conscripts are at 0 right now, and I think that's because their loyalty isn't above 50, but we'll see how this changes as the loyalty goes up to kind of monitor that. So that's the 1861 goal over here in Virginia, is to hold Alexandria, eventually take over Manassas, but the challenge is early game, it's just not. If you don't take it by October, you take a hit on loyalty for the Union, but it's really difficult to accomplish in 1861 against a good CSA player, particularly someone who kind of keeps the bulk of their forces here. Now, he could swing around and go after Harper's Ferry, which, as you see here, he's got a 761 force, he's got another 1,200 force, and I only got 500, right? So he could theoretically try and pounce over and do that. That's why I'm going to try and bulk this up as much as I can and try and get this about even between the two, which actually I'm going to do that. I've got a ton of artillery here, so I want to split the artillery. So this will go up to about 800 power, and then I'll keep funneling troops here so that this is like basically my bulk armies over here in the east. Also, I'm going to have 4 ship elements between here and DC, so you can't jump across the river. And then we have the blockade going on down here. I'm going to put a couple additional ships here just for the moment until I can send them down here to kind of go after what he's got here. The transports are almost done. Once those are done, I'll send them down here as well. I'm about to have 4 blockade vessels here once this other one gets here. Now, as for movement disposition, I was debating on what to do with my interior here. So I've got these guys who just populated, these guys, and these guys. I could have done a couple different things. I could have sent all 3 of these over to the west, either to St. Louis or to Cairo. I could have put them on the Kentucky border, just in case Kentucky's, switches to, goes from neutral to one side or the other. I think September's the earliest you can do that. So kind of put them there. I could put them in West Virginia to bulk up here, or I could send them over to Virginia. I kind of split the baby on that one. I'm sending this guy here over to McClellan. I'm sending this guy also over to McClellan. And then I'm consolidating up here in the northern part of West Virginia this guy that just populated with some artillery here, and then Patterson, just to put him up north, just to kind of let him know that, hey, I'm not abandoning this area. I'm aware you've got this stack here, but so do I, right? So I've got a 167, and then I'll have another force there, right? So just to kind of make him not want to kind of press up into Western Virginia. I'm then sending this guy over to St. Louis along with this guy. The reason being is I'm a little thin out here in St. Louis at the moment until my forces get built. You know, we have all these things being built at the moment. But, you know, I had to burn through 4 artillery and a supply wagon to make a redoubt here in St. Louis. And then, you know, that's all I have as far as my St. Louis forces on top of what's here, which is pretty thin as well, right? So I'm sending some more forces over here, and then between the forces that are being sent over here and what's built, I should be okay as far as at least any sort of initial threat towards St. Louis. I think he put this guy here really just to kind of split, you know, the area here between Jefferson, which that's fine. If I get a big enough force here, I'll probably just move forward and just sweep him out. I'm moving forward. He's got a 116 power force here, so it looks like he's got a brigade and then some cavalry. So I'm going to move forward a little bit of infantry, artillery, building these guys out, obviously, right? Moving him forward, which is some light, so basically mounted infantry. And then this guy here, which he's actually a pretty sizable force. Now I have to be careful because this is a supply depot up here at Lexington. So once I have my cavalry complete, I'll probably shift them down here. And then probably next turn build another infantry guy here just to kind of protect the depots here. These guys are done, so I'm going to send them for the time being west here to protect my forts. We won this battle over here. I combine him up with this cavalry guy here, and then he's probably going to bounce to another fort. But my goal, again, is to protect these forts right here, these 5, to ensure that I can, as well as this one up here, to ensure that, you know, supply chain between there and Colorado is sustained. Got him in here just to kind of try and keep the loyalty consistent and then going up. And then these guys are being built slowly. Over here in California, right here in Southern California, I built a flatboat that I'm turning into a supply depot. Now, you can see here, it only has 188 supply, 56 ammo. But up here in Central California, it's got a very big supply, right, of 2,000 supply stock. So what will happen is the supply depot here will pull forward from Central and then push supply down to this fort, which will then push it down to this redoubt. That's the first way that I'm going to get supply down to this force down that's going to eventually push down into Arizona. Also, I'm going to build a couple supply wagons that I'm going to use to supply up in, you know, Central California, take that supply from there and then move it down with the supply wagons as well. These guys aren't done yet, but once they are, that'll be another force that we can use to play with. I'm gonna have to be a little bit careful with them because there's not a lot of supply down here, right? So once they get through that supply wagon, they're gonna be in trouble. So I'm gonna have to be somewhat quick. I don't know if, can I build a supply wagon this turn? I can build a 2. I really want a 4 though. So that'll be next turn. I'll build one. Just to build up supply because I really want to I need to get down here and get this guy taken care of before his supply gets too bad. So we got him up here too, right? But no supply wagons. And the supply stock here is pretty low. Yeah. All right, I think it's about everything for this turn. Just a lot of moving parts at the moment. Did not invest anything in the supply at the moment because we're doing pretty well. Got 18 replacements on the line infantry, 4 elites, and then 12 militia, so forth. So we're doing pretty well here. All right, let's run the turn and see how it goes. I'll be surprised if he goes on the offensive in the next couple months. Certainly in 61, you know, the Confederates are in a little bit better position They have more forces at their disposition, or at their availability. They have better generals. And so if you want with the Confederacy, you can certainly go on the offensive in certain areas of the map. So really, again, my goal in 1861 is deter him from any sort of offensive operations, which will give me time to leverage my economic advantage and build up the forces that I need to go on the offensive in 1862. Oh, and then I also built some telegraph lines. Forgot to show you that. I just focused in on areas that were 75, so that telegraph line will bump them up to 80. And I focused on the highest grossing money locations that I had that weren't yet 80. That's how I went about doing it. So it was like one in Connecticut, one in New York, and then one in Massachusetts, I believe. So I'm sending that cavalry down to cut that rail line in Virginia. Okay, so he's got some boats there, it looks like. And the reason I'm cutting that rail line is if he wants to support Johnston on an attack up in Harper's Ferry, or bring Johnston down on an attack in Alexandria, if I cut that rail line, it's going to cause a delay for him. And hopefully what it'll do is it'll cause enough of a delay to where I can see that he's going to attack Harper's Ferry or attack Alexandria, and I can shift my forces accordingly. Alright, so we're definitely getting guys here. Alright, so we got a size 1 depot here. I'm actually going to build one more. I think a size 2 depot makes sense for this area, just because of the supply problems that you encounter over here. They're pretty cheap, right? I'm going to do this right now while it's on my mind. This is Central California, so I can take this supply, right? Okay, so we got a ton of conscripts, so we're good. Although we're like completely out of money already. Yeah, so the events were basically the conscripts cost us a ton of money, which is fine. I think we can issue war bonds again, so here we go. So we're only going to suffer one turn of lack of money, which is good. Alright. Let's go through the messages, and then I'll do the scheme of maneuver, obviously offline, like I usually do. Go from there. Wait, what is happening here? Why is he over here? Oh, Fremont's right. So he's good for... Yeah. So how are we on loyalty here? That's right, so... Let's stick him in the city with... Not with him. With the garrison. There, to build up the loyalty here, and then obviously, I think we should do martial law as well, or habeas. I don't want to cost national morale, let's do habeas. Oh, I can't do it in St. Louis, that's annoying. I wonder why not. We got McLarnon. So he's got a couple things, right? So he can do conscripts. He's not a good general though, right? So I always send him to a high loyalty, large city. I think they're, I want to say Chicago is good. What size? It's 12, and then loyalty is, yeah, 92. So I usually send him like Chicago, and then just plunk him inside, and he just boosts conscripts even further. Alright. Okay, so let's go through the comments here before I get too distracted. Okay, no core before 1862, right? We knew that. Create divisions in October. Congress enacts the first income tax law. 3% tax on income over $800 is established, aiming to bring $20 million into the federal coffers. This is the first income tax in the U.S. Congress enacted this Revenue Act in 1861 to pay for what is anticipated to be a short Civil War. Additionally to this, in World War I, Woodrow Wilson proposed and Congress passed the 16th Amendment, which imposed the income tax, the constitutional right for the federal government to impose a federal income tax. All right. The U.S. Congress issued August 6th an act to confiscate property used for insurrectionary purposes. This act declared all property belonging to insurgents to be lawful subject of prize and capture wherever found. Okay. I'm really happy with that number, by the way. The conscripts, that's a lot. 500. It's going to go up even more next turn. So is our money. So next month, or so late August, is going to be a big boom for spending. So we're going to have to spend smart in late August because that's going to really dictate, I think, several months going forward. Camp Dick Robinson, this is near Kentucky, right? So in Lexington, neutral Kentucky is a show of force. Named Camp Dick Robinson, the camp becomes a rallying point for the mountaineers of southern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee to join the Union. The establishment of Camp Dick Robinson was also the only excuse Confederate officials required to place their own troops within the Kentucky borders. Got some new ships. All right, that's about it. Okay, let me go about doing the movements. I don't think he really did anything of too much consequence here. Nope, he didn't move at all. He's still here. Let's look over at St. Louis real quick. He moved up on this fort over here, which isn't too bad because I really need to maintain this one. That's the important one. But I'm going to try and consolidate my forces here. Maybe I can go after him. Alright, and then St. Louis looks like we are good. We're not threatened. We've got 317 for us, yeah, so we're going to be pretty healthy here. This is all almost built. So, okay. Alright, let me go about figuring out what we're going to do here and go from there. Alright. To update before we send this turn back over to Josh, just reinforcing in Harper's Ferry and Alexandria. These are all the forces that McClellan is training up. So as you can see, I built these militia units and then combined them into 2 elements. And then they're going to get trained up to line infantry, and then I'll move them out accordingly. We also got our headquarters built, so I'm sending him in with the Northeastern Virginia Army, since that's the largest stack that I have. And what will happen is, as every turn, this guy will give them experience. So as you can see here, 1 experience point every turn to all units in the stack he is in by drilling them. And then, some of these other things for purposes of actual combat, but that's the big one right now that we're focused on is that. And then as I can build more of those, I will pump them out as quick as possible. I don't know, which is really annoying here. Okay, so those are back there. Okay, never mind, sorry. I got confused there. I put my ships here in between DC and Alexandria, and it looked like they were in port, but it's a different area. Moving cavalry into DC just to get the loyalty up here, because right now it's only 42%. So I want to get it up to 50% to get that next tier of productivity out of that area. I'm also doing habeas in DC and in what's this? What is this place right here? Annapolis. That's right. Okay, Annapolis. Habeas, Annapolis. Then I'm also doing it in Baltimore. I'm also doing, perhaps controversially, but as a union, it's not controversial for the CSA because you need all the cash you can get. But these requisition cards. So what these requisition cards do is they give you $35,000 cash, but they cost you 10 loyalty, 10 military control, and then 1 victory point and 2 development points. However, hear me out. I'm doing them like way up in like Vermont and Maine. So to zoom out here, like way up here, right, where there's probably no there's not going to be any combat. There's not going to be anything that I need to worry about military control up here. I specifically chose areas that have 99 loyalty or like 94 loyalty. And then on top of that, they're like size 1 or size 2 cities that really don't have any productivity whatsoever for the Union. So as far as I'm concerned, for $35,000, I basically lose nothing except a victory point. Because the development points aren't going to affect these areas because they don't produce anything anyways for my nation. And I don't really need to worry about loyalty up here because they're so far north. He's not going to be able to take advantage of any sort of loyalty advantage. And my loyalty is so high that the 10% is not going to really affect things, right? So I specifically targeted City 1 and City 2s up in the northeast area of the Union that aren't producing anything for my country anyways, and that he's not going to be able to exploit as far as military control or loyalty. So that's basically up here in Vermont and Maine. And then as mentioned earlier, I'm doing the telegraph lines in these 75 civilization level territories that produce pretty good amounts of cash for me. So when they're 80, they'll make even more cash. And then as far as movements, I'm going to consolidate here. So we're over in Kansas right now and western Missouri. I'm going to try and consolidate here, this guy, and then see what he does here. I don't know if he's going to burn this fort. What I'm really worried about is this fort right here. So that's the one I need to make sure he doesn't take. So once I'm consolidated here, I may move out. These cavalry here are a little exposed because he's got this guy up here north, and he's also got this force south. I can see him converging on me. So probably what I want to do is avoid combat and retreat if he attacks there. And he may just be doing that to make it so I can't come down into Missouri from his western flank. I'd have to come into Missouri from St. Louis, which is fine. Honestly, I could come down from this way still and just build supply depots, but it makes sense as the Confederacy to build these forts, and it's really hard as a Union early game to defend these forts anyways, because you just don't have the forces. The big things, though, the wins, right, is up here, our northern forts. It looks like we're going to be able to protect these. Pretty well secure here. And then I've got mounted infantry that are going to be down here. I'm consolidating these guys together. So I'll have two units of those, and then I can maybe go after his rangers here. But again, I'm not too worried about these forts. What I was really worried about is these forts up here. Over here near Kentucky, I'm building a flatboat that I'll probably put right here and then make that my supply depot, because it doesn't look like we have a supply depot here yet. And I may even make that like a level 2 supply depot, honestly. And then I will have 5 of these guys here shortly, because I've got one coming. And then I'm moving my transports. My transports are ready, so these guys are here. I'm going to move them here just for one turn, connect them with a offensive fleet, and then send them down here into the shipping lanes, and then pull these guys out, send them back for redock, and just kind of rotate accordingly. We're going to have a ton of money next turn because we're going to have the 800 plus whatever we get from our normal economy, plus the 35 times 4 from the what are these cards called again? The requisition cards. So we're going to be in really good shape for money and really good shape for conscripts. So next turn is going to be a really big deal in terms of how we actually spend that money. We can't build. I'm really waiting for the arsenals. I want the arsenals. But yeah, next turn is going to be really important in terms of our probably for our 1862 offensive, because by the time the units are built, it's going to be winter, and then those units are going to be used to effectuate offenses in the early spring of 1862. So I'm going to have to put a lot of thought into how I'm going to do things. I've neglected up to this point any sort of river fleet. I'll probably need to start building that. Not necessarily next turn, but at some point in the winter of 1861, so that it's ready for operation spring of 1862. I'm going to build an amphibious division to take this fort down here. Not Fort Macon. Is it Macon? No. Fort Fisher, because this is his second largest money producing, third largest or fourth? I don't know. Third or fourth money-making area in the Confederacy. So if I can take this fort, I can cut that money production in half. And then I'm also contemplating maybe taking Fort Sumter, because that'll blockade Charleston, which is his number 2 moneymaker. His number 1 is New Orleans, which is a big target of mine. So what I have to be careful of is taking New Orleans too early. And what I mean by that is if I take it, notice there too, he's building his ironworks in New Orleans. If I take it too early, he can then rail a force down and take it back, right? So I need to make sure I coordinate it with an offensive on like Memphis or, some sort of offensive over in the west, so that he's kind of having to use his forces up here to defend against that, and then I can land in his rear in New Orleans. So that is definitely going to be in the playing cards for me. When I land in New Orleans, it's going to be a pretty hefty force, not only to take it, but also to hold it. So, I'm thinking like a corps will probably land there, and then kind of sit there for a while until I decide what to do with them. But definitely, if I take New Orleans, it's going to be a huge money impact on him going forward. So, all right, let's get this turned back over to Josh. He's going to do his thing, and then we'll proceed with the game.
All right, welcome back. Probably hear my dogs in the background. So I've kind of changed my mind here in Tucson. I think I'm going to not burn it this turn. I'm just going to hold here. He's got 66 power with these 2 cavalry regiments. I have 3 regiments at 39, but they're at about half cohesion, so I reckon at full cohesion they'll be around 80, and that'll be able to beat those guys. When Carlton starts coming down, and when I see him hit this region, probably that turn, I'm going to burn it and get out of there. I got 2 cavalry units going up to take the stockade. Hopefully they take it. Next turn, these guys were just made, so next turn the cohesion should be at 100%, hopefully, and I'm going to move on Fort Craig. I wasn't able to build a wagon this turn. I just didn't have enough money for it, so I'll probably build it next turn and get it up there, depending on what happens when I first get up there, but he should be able to last up there a couple of turns, and I can get that wagon up there to help in case I need it. And if I need 2 wagons, I might create 2. It just depends. I spend a lot of resources out here, but I don't know, just kind of trying something new. We'll see how it works. As far as out here, I'm burning this fort. This one's already burned. It just takes one more day. So he'll be moving out. He's going to come down here and start burning these forts. This guy here, I'm going to move him here and burn that one, and then we should be good out there. Out here, I took Belmont. I'm, of course, going to burn this one. Destroy fort. We'll see. I doubt I'll go for this fort, but we'll see. Because at the end of the day, he's got a city here, so he doesn't really need this fort to kind of go around me. He can just have a city here, and he'd probably build a fort somewhere around here and then try to get around me. So, I mean, it's not worth risking sending this guy up here to try to burn it. Looks like there's 3 units being built here. I don't know what they are. It's just too risky, plus I'll be overextended. So I'm going to burn this, and then next turn I'm probably going to hit this guy. I'm putting my rangers in the stack and this one as well, so I may hit them with both units here, and that should push this guy out, and then I'll try to burn this fort. Eventually I'll burn this one too, and I'm going to try to get this one and burn it as well. I wasn't able to build any more units out here. So this turn we got some more of those headquarter units, and there was 2 of them available, and I built them immediately, and I just don't have any more money to do anything else. So next turn I'll probably build a little more out here in Missouri here. I don't know if he's just putting these guys out here to feint like he's coming this way. I don't know. All I know is he's got a lot of units here. He's got a lot of units he's building. So hopefully he comes out. Hopefully Kentucky stays neutral for a little while longer. Got another unit coming up here. This guy's going here. I'm just kind of consolidating units at the moment. I'm not really doing anything else. No battles happened this turn. So there's that. Let's see. So I burnt the city. I'm trying to tear up the rails, moving back. Gonna link up with this guy, and then I'll come back in this area. I may leave like a small force here as well. It's August, so snow should be coming in fairly soon. I'm certain I'm safe this winter. He's not going to come through here, and we'll have to reevaluate in the spring. He did send his cavalry unit here, I assume, to try to tear up the rail. Hopefully he can't do it. He's probably trying to look for intelligence too. I'm fairly certain Beauregard's good. I'm taking out this cavalry, these cavalry guys here, and I'm moving them in to push him out in case he does tear up the rail and need to rebuild it. The support units, I built one here in Strasburg. I'm moving this brigade up here. I'm going to try to tear up the rails. And again, I'm just consolidating units into the army. Really nothing else to do. And I will run the turn and get back with you guys. Thanks. Alright, welcome back. No battles this turn either. Be driven away from the south forever. Just gives you a morale. It's just an event in the game. There's also news from Liverpool. I guess it's a contract for some ships that we'll get later. Go back out west here. He's still got his main force up here in Fort Yuma. He has an infantry regiment with him now. I'm probably gonna move this unit out next turn, maybe. I'm gonna see if I can get another cavalry unit over here and see if that makes a difference. If I can kind of go toe to toe with him in numbers. If not, looks like he's got an artillery here too. So I'll probably burn it next turn and get out of there. Hopefully he doesn't get down there in time. I did take this fort. I'm going to leave this guy here. I don't want to burn it yet because I don't think there's a threat from anywhere. Although I do see kind of up here in Colorado, he's moving a few, looks like mounted militia, mounted volunteers coming down to assist down here. So looks like he wants to hold on down here. I'm not sure if he knows I have this force here. He does have 10% loyalty, but I know you can kind of see things if you have loyalty in neighboring regions, which he has like 45% here, 45% here, and 45% here. So I'm not sure if he can see it. So maybe that's why he's bringing it down here. But whatever happens, it'll be too late for this engagement. I'm moving them out this turn. I'm not going to put them on assault phase because I don't want them attacking a bunch of units inside a fort, because that could be bad. So I'm going to try to put them under siege, and hopefully put a landmine under it or something, and try to get him to either surrender or attack me or whatever. So I am building a wagon here because you can't stay up here for long. I think it's like 2 turns, and then you run out of food. So I'm going to build this wagon. Hopefully it doesn't take longer than maybe 2, 3, 4 turns. If so, I'm going to have to build another wagon and send it up there and just rotate them out and hopefully we'll be fine. I'm not building any more units. The reason I'm not burning this fort is because I need the supply. Like, I'm out of supply. If you look at this guy, I got 88% supply, which means there's not enough supply being coming into this region to sustain this amount of troops. So I'm not building any more troops. I'm keeping this here. Eventually I'm going to come over here and get military control, and I think I can get some supply here. One supply, but hey, it's one supply. So hopefully that works out for me. If it's a disaster here, I'll just pull these guys back, burn these forts, and just leave like a division here at the end. Just try to hold these areas, and I'll move all the rest of the troops out of there. The forts in this area here, they're pretty much burnt up, gone. I'm finishing up these two here, and I'll finish these three. I'm starting to move this ranger over to Tennessee. Be using them a little later. Of course, I got these Indians here. I'll be ready in about 9 turns. I think his show up here maybe. I'm not sure where his is. I know he gets some. I'm just not sure if he has to wait the same amount of time as I do. And I think after this I get some more as well. I get that Indian general, the Confederate general. I got my big units here. I am burning this fort, so it should be burnt on day 1, and I'm moving to attack this guy, and I'm moving him in to attack as well. I don't think he can get anything there. I mean, he's got a substantial force here, but I don't think he can get here before I get here. So hopefully I get here, push him out, he takes the fort, and then if these guys do come in, then hopefully my guys can withstand them. Let's hope so. I'm moving 2 cav over here to reinforce these guys. Looks like he's kind of spreading out here, I guess, getting military control. He's still got a lot of troops there, and a lot in here building, so those haven't moved. Down in Cairo, he hasn't gotten any bigger, neither have I. I'm going to leave this unit here for now, let him start digging in entrenchments in case he gets pushed out. I don't want to lose this area to be able to build Missouri troops. I did build one more brigade here. Of course, everywhere else I'm consolidating, trying to train these guys up as much as I can. I'm building more cavalry. I'm going to try to train those guys up, get as much cavalry as I can, and start concentrating more on units. I didn't build anything else down in New Orleans. I'm moving some cav up there to Tennessee. That unit I pulled down to Charleston from Richmond, the squadrons, I got Tatnall. I'm moving him over to New Orleans. That's going to take a while. Looks like it's going to take like 71 days. But that's fine, because this guy's going to be useless anywhere else. And of course I want to put this gunboat on the Mississippi with the others, and the 2 the brigs I'm sending into the shipping lanes to sink more Union ships. Up here I got out. Sometimes it starts snowing. I think the earliest I've seen is October. I'm not sure if it starts snowing in September, but I'm pretty sure you can't get down here. Running out of supply anyway. I'm going to set up base right here. Maybe. Depends on how supply goes. I may keep a few units here just so some of his, just like he doesn't try to send a cavalry unit in and start entrenching for next spring. Other than that, I pushed this guy out. I'm trying to tear up the rails here and move back. I did build, let's see, I'm building these 2 brigades to try and reinforce this area. I'm not sure where he's going to attack. He pulled this cavalry regiment out, so I'm moving this guy back to join up with him. I'm not sure what he's doing. I'm pretty confident that Beauregard could take him if he comes at me, and even if he brings them to, I'm pretty confident if he puts everything he's got right now to Beauregard, I'll be fine. Now, if he rails him over and hits Johnson, I don't think he'd withstand it, so he'd get pushed back. I don't think he was going to rail him over there, because then I'd probably go for Alexandria. And if I can get Alexandria and Harper's Ferry, that's real good for the South to defend this area, because it's behind the river. It's a lot easier. I doubt that'll happen, though. Last turn I did do war bonds and taxes again, so I got a lot of money again right now. It'll be gone soon, though, don't worry. I'm kind of low on conscripts right now. I think I'm going to be fine on war supply for the rest of the game. I am starting to get concerned, though, because if you remember, I did build some ironworks, and then I did the one for arsenals and armories, too. All I'm seeing are the ironworks, and I'm not seeing the rest of those pop up, so I'm hoping it's not a glitch. Hopefully not, because that'd be pretty bad. That'd be like a waste of a lot of money in war supply if this is some kind of glitch. So hopefully it pops up. So these are all the ironworks that were built. There was supposed to be 2 built in New Orleans, and there's one supposed to be built in Manchester here, which is also building. But like I said, I haven't seen any of the others, so hopefully those pop up soon. I guess next time I'll keep that in mind, and if it works that way, then just hold off on building the other 2s until these are built. I'm not sure why they don't all just start at the same time. That's pretty much it. I'll send this over to Tim, and we'll get the turn run.